Hello and welcome to my channel. Today is Saturday and that means it's time for True Crime Tales. I was a little disappointed with this one. It's literally a page of notes. It's not going to be a very long one. I thought when I came across it there would be more information to find and there just wasn't. So, we're just going to do the best with what we have. Stephen Wayne Anderson was an American contract killer and serial killer who was executed at California's San Quentin State Prison by lethal injection in 2002 for the murder of Elizabeth Lyman. He was either known to have killed or admitted to the killings of at least 8 other people, including a fellow inmate and at least 7 contract killings. Stephen Wayne Anderson was born on July 8, 1953, the older of 2 boys, born to an alcoholic father with a violent temper and an emotionally abusive mother who kicked both Stephen and his brother out of the home when he was 14. They began living with friends and relatives following the ban. Anderson committed his first violent crime in 1971 when he burglarized a school in Farmington, New Mexico. During the robbery, he threatened 2 police officers, and he was convicted of burglary and sentenced to 1 to 5 years in prison. He was paroled on that count in 1975, but continued to serve a sentence of 10 to 50 years on multiple aggravated burglary convictions. Anderson was sent out of state to the Utah State Prison, and while he was there, he killed a fellow inmate named Blundell on August 24th, 1977. He also assaulted another inmate and assaulted a correctional officer. And this still wasn't enough for them to be like, this guy's bad news. This guy is bad news. On May 26, 1980, Anderson, then 26, burglarized the Bloomington, California house of 81-year-old Elizabeth Lyman, a retired piano teacher. In the middle of the night, Anderson cut Lyman's telephone line with a knife and broke into her home by removing a glass pane from her French doors. He checked the house for occupants room by room. When he entered Lyman's bedroom, she awoke and screamed. Anderson shot her in the face from close range with a .45 caliber handgun, fatally wounding her. He covered her body with a blanket, recovered the expelled casing from the hollow point that killed her, and ransacked her house for money. He found less than $100. So it wasn't even for a big amount. And also the fact that this man, it always comes back for me to the fact that this guy was already in prison for killing an inmate and assaulting another inmate and assaulting a correctional officer. Now, if you're a cop killer, you're gonna get big time. You're never gonna see the light of day. You would think that would apply to assaulting an officer as well, but apparently in this case that didn't matter because they still let him go. And less than 3 years later, he robbed and killed an elderly woman for no reason other than what he thought she might have, and she didn't have anything. But as I say, they already had him in prison. They already knew what he was capable of. Aggravated burglary usually means burglary with a weapon. In most cases I've heard of, I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it means burglary with a weapon. And even if that's the case, if you have a weapon going into the home to burglarize, then there could be a charge of intent to kill. I would think, I don't know what the laws are in every state. I know Ohio's laws, and that's about it. But my point is, man was already in prison for proving that he would do whatever it took to get whatever he thought he needed. And they did nothing about it. They did nothing about it. They let him go. They really said, you know what? It's fine. You assaulted a cop? No biggie. Be on your merry little way. Anderson then prepared himself a meal in Lyman's kitchen. Have you ever seen, if y'all have seen Criminal Minds, you're going to know what I'm talking about, but if you've ever seen that episode where the Hispanic guy is, getting from place to place on trains, where, his brother or his cousin is working on the farms for, being in the country and whatnot, and, he would, change into their clothes, and he would wear the man's clothes, and he would, leave his old clothes behind, the ones that were, covered in blood and stuff, and, he would eat in their kitchens, and he would sleep in their beds even, sometimes with the body still in the beds. If you've all seen Criminal Minds, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a diehard fan, like I am, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And what I can't get is that nobody was you would think if he prepared himself a meal too. Now, this is the other thing that it doesn't say that he was ever, like, he didn't wipe down fingerprints or anything. And, I mean, he was caught in the act. He was caught at the house. I'm getting to that. But, like, all these other things that I was able to find any information on, he never, like, wiped down fingerprints. He never, like, cleaned up his his crime scene, whatever, like, most criminals do when they don't want to be caught. He was very disorganized and very messy. And, like, how he got away with killing, you know, 8, 9, 10 people is absolutely ludicrous to me, because, like, there had to be prints and stuff somewhere. There had to be some kind of indication of who was in the house and what they were doing. And you would think, because he was arrested the first time, that, you know, his first violent crime in 1971, his DNA and his fingerprints should be in the system. So you would think they would be able to, like, but I don't really know when DNA really became a thing. So I could be wrong about that. It was 1971. I'm not sure about when DNA came out. But I was thinking, like, you would think there would be something that could, like, conclusively link him to these supposed other killings he did. Or this could be a case of the guy who cried wolf. Like, oh my God, what's his name? The guy who confessed to a lot of crimes that he ended up not doing because they were giving him, like, special privileges for it. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Thank you, short-term memory loss, for that. But yeah. Anyway, a suspicious next-door neighbor called the sheriff's department as he was eating and watching television, just like Netflix and chill. Sheriff's deputies responded to the call and arrested him. He admitted to the murder. I don't think he really could have gotten away with lying about it because, sir, you were there. Like, you were caught in the act. They were dead, and you was chilling in the house. Like, you ain't gonna lie your way out of that one. Anderson later told the detectives that I was born and trained to be a killer. I always wanted to be a killer. Whatever happened to, like, little boys' aspirations to be, like, a firefighter or a cop? Although 911 can suck it at this point. Because they've messed with my emotions one too many times. No spoilers. But yeah. Could you imagine being a child in, like, the first grade and they'll be like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because they always ask you this in the first grade. Most people would be like, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be president. Something, like, really, really exclusive and, like, high grade that's probably not that attainable for every single kid in the class. But it could happen. You never know. And he's just like, I want to be a serial killer. Peace. I'm sorry, it's not funny, but it just kills me that you would just say that. Like, is that, like, how this works? Is it nature? Is it nurture? Is it brain over, or is it mind over matter? Like, you know, what? I would love to find some psychology on this and really deep dive research it. And see, I'm so sorry, I was up so late last night. But anyways, and see how this, like, works out. Anderson admitted to 6 other contract killings in Las Vegas that happened prior to the crime, for which he received a death sentence. On November 24th, 1979, he escaped from prison, after which he worked for narcotics traffickers and committed at least 1 murder in the eastern mountains of Salt Lake City. So I will get the cops this. They didn't let him go. He got away. But that's okay, because they brought him back. And he was back in prison. So it's okay. On July 24th, 1981... Oh, wait. And on that note, like, we can't really say anything. I mean, Ted Bundy escaped twice. Like, he was just like, bye. And I'm like, how did y'all not learn from the first time to not leave this man unattended? On July 24th, 1981, Anderson was convicted and sentenced to death. The prosecutors pointed to his violent history, both in and out of prison. Obviously, contract killings, narcotics traffickers, inmate killing, assaulting a cop, you know, just murdering an elderly woman for absolutely no reason. Yeah, but that would be, you know, a violent history, I would think. As evidence that he was too dangerous to be kept alive. On January 29th of 2002, so I know that seems like a really long time ago, but it's really not. 23 years is really not that long. in my mind, but I'm also born and raised in the 80s. So, well, born in the 80s, raised in the 90s. But I really feel like it wasn't that long ago. So, like, he lived a pretty decent lifespan before they were finally like, you know? He was executed by a lethal injection at San Quentin State Prison. He was pronounced dead at 12:30 a.m. And I did put this in here because sometimes people like to hear this, and this was one of the ones I was able to find this on. So if you don't care about his last meal or his final words, you can just skip this part. Anderson's last meal consisted of 2 grilled cheese sandwiches with radishes. Interesting combination. 1 pint of cottage cheese, a hominy corn mixture, and if somebody could tell me what hominy is, I would greatly appreciate that, because it just doesn't sound very good. 1 slice of peach pie, and 1 pint of chocolate chip ice cream. Honestly, I would have gone for like the whole gallon. I'd have been like, give me the whole thing. Just not chocolate chip, because I don't like chocolate. I probably would have gone with Oreos and, you know, cookies and cream. But he had no last words. He had nothing to say. Not in fake I'm sorry, not in oh my bad, nothing. I'm sorry this one was so short. I am definitely looking for longer ones. I don't know what happened. It was like, I saw a contract killer and I was like, oh, there's going to be a ton of information on this guy. And nope. But I'd already started typing up my notes for the segment and I was like, might as well just go with it. So I am looking for longer ones for the future. You know, usually, unless they're like, I thought there was somebody coming down the stairs. And like real big like crimes like Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer or the Zodiac Killer. You know, it's not easy to find information on like 70s, 80s crimes, but we're trying. We're working on it. I'm getting there. So hopefully you can find a longer one for next week. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Please don't do anything I wouldn't do. Be cautiously kind to others and make good choices. Bye.